Hi everyone! I'm going to tell you about a little guilty pleasure of mine. There is this anti-racist Facebook group called Rasmus, and they are absolutely mental people, like the craziest of the crazy. And I like to read what they write, because it's just so entertaining. And they never fail to astonish me with the things that they come up with. And often, actually, when I hear about, say, a terrorist attack, or some rape by a migrant, or something like that, among the first things I do is to go and see what the anti-racists have said about it, because they have this wonderful way of turning things completely backwards. And it's just interesting to see how they react to stuff like this. So now there was a crime. And the crime was that two underage girls were assaulted. And they were walking in the street on New Year's Eve. And a girl approached them. This girl started calling them names, and this girl then called for her friends. And 20 people assaulted these girls, and these people who did the assault were people of foreign background. And they had kicked these girls, hit them, spit on them, they had threatened to rape these girls, and threatened all sorts of violence against them. And one of these victims had her cell phone on, and her mother was at the other end. So the mother could hear everything that was going on, but there was nothing she could do except to call the police when she heard that her daughter was being assaulted. And the police in the area confirms that there has been a criminal report filed about this. And the girl's mother says that the girls avoided any serious injuries, but they are very upset about what happened, and that the girls are now going to crisis therapy, and they are going to change schools, because apparently these attackers were from the same school. And these attackers also were grown-ups, like they weren't teenagers like these girls. And there's one explanation for how that is possible. Like, they are most likely migrants, and because migrants, they are placed over here in Finland to normal schools according to their own level. Like, if there's a 30-year-old migrant and his learning level is to the 6th grade in Finland, then they place him on 6th grade among the real children. So I suppose this is how the girls knew these guys, like they were from the same school. So naturally, the anti-racists, they are very upset about this story. And here's what one anti-racist says in this group. Why do we have to tolerate a media like this? First of all, the mother wasn't there, so how does she know that there were grown-ups there? Okay, most likely she knows this because the girls knew their attackers. They were from the same school. So they knew who these people were. So most likely the mom knows what she's talking about. B, at 10 p.m., shouldn't underage kids be at home? And if they came from spending the New Year's Eve, shouldn't the parent pick them up or have to pick them up? Of course, everyone has a right to move on the streets whatever time they like. So first of all, she says that, okay, why were these kids out at night? Why didn't their parents pick them up? And then she ends with this disclaimer that, okay, but of course everyone has the right to walk on the streets if they want. But that doesn't change what she says before that. Before that, everything she says points to the girls being the ones to blame, or the parents being ones to blame. Like, why do you go pushing yourself at these migrants at that time of night? Why do you let your daughters walk around? Don't you know that you can't let them walk around because there are migrants over here? Of course you can't let them walk around. And C, they say that these people are suspected to have been victims to assault by foreigners on New Year's Eve. So it's a suspected case. And that word foreign background could be left out completely because it's pure racism. Violence is always a bad thing, and I don't accept any kind of violence, but I also don't accept pure racism created by the media. So it's racism by the media to admit the fact that these 20 people who assaulted these girls were of foreign background. And that's pretty necessary or obvious to say, because that doesn't happen over here. Like, when you hear about a story like that, when you hear that 2 teenage girls were assaulted by 20 grown-up men, you know immediately that it's not white Finnish guys doing it. Of course it's not. They don't do shit like that. So the media doesn't even have to say it, and you know it, because white guys, they don't do that. And these anti-racists, so they were really upset about the media saying out loud that these guys were of foreign background. And apparently to them, these girls were to blame for being assaulted. Like, they shouldn't have been moving outside at that time. And the parents are to blame, of course, to like letting their girls walk on the streets at 10 p.m. Like, I've always said that these people are psychopaths. Like, of course they are psychopaths. Like, they claim to be for human rights. They claim to be the ones who care about people. But of course they don't care about people. They are ideologues. Like, they are fanatics. They have this multicultural ideology, so they care about that. They don't care about people. They don't even care about the refugees or the migrants or anyone. The migrants, they are only building blocks for this multicultural society, for multiculturalists. They aren't people. Like, they don't really think of these asylum seekers as real people. They are just these tools to build a multicultural society. And you can actually hear it in their tone really often, that whenever something happens, it's always the white people's fault. And that is because they have this racism of lowered expectations. They don't really see these brown people as responsible people, like full 100% human beings. So they don't expect anything out of them. They are just these little pets they keep around to create this multicultural society. And they don't care about the damage they cause while reaching for that dream of multiculturalism. They don't care about the rape victims or the terrorism victims or anything. Like, these are psychopaths, these people. They are ideologues. And there's absolutely no reason to give these people any moral high ground, even though they use these words like human rights and talk about international contracts that we have to follow. Because they have no moral high ground. They are psychopaths. And that's how we should treat them as. So, thank you for listening, and bye.